Okay, good morning everyone. We are on Sadi Zayin Amud Beis. We were talking about yesterday, the very bottom of Sadi Zayin Amud Beis. So we're trying to figure out, we said that it can't be that the measurements that we were dealing with of the Yesod and the Sovev and the Keren, they couldn't be all 5 tefach amas in the height. And they also couldn't be 5 tefach amas in the width, because neither one of them would make sense. And you have the problem with the 30 by 30 amo, 30 by 2 by 32. If you had a problem with the height, then you end up that you're standing on the sovev and you're throwing it more than 3 tefachim underneath the, you're throwing it underneath the line, the chod hasikra. So what's the thing? So we said yesterday, we're saying it's a mix and a match. That means what? Partly we're talking about 5 tefach amas. Each one of those 3, again, the given is that the keren, the yesod, and the sovev all have 5 tefach amas. The question is which part of them? So the Gemara said yesterday at the end, elacheka amma begova, the bottom line, that when we're talking about the yesod, which is the 1 amma of the yesod, again the picture from yesterday, that 1 amma in height is 5 tvachim, and amma rochav, and then the sovev is what? Kanisa, that's the width, and then the gvgula el svata saviv, that's the keren, is the height. And the Gemara says, lo shnachi v'lo shnachi. And as we'll see, it doesn't really matter in the width of the keren. If it was 5 or 6, it's not going to make a difference. So how does this come out now? Let's just do the math for ourselves. If you have 10 amos on the mizbeach, we said that if it was 6 each, it would be 60. If it was 5 each, it would be 50. What are we saying now? We're saying that most of them were 6. 8 of the 10 amos were 6. And 2 of the amos, the height of the bottom amma, the yesod, and the height of the top amma, the keren, were each 5 tvachim. So you basically have 60 minus 2 tvachim, right? You have 8 times 6, and 2 times 5 comes out to 58. So now let's do the math. Now you have 58, so what's half? 29. So the chod hasikra is at 29, right? So now let's figure out. It's at 29. Where are you standing when you're on the sovev? You got the 5 for the keren, 5 tefach, and then you got the 3 amos times 6 for the 3 amos that are here. The 3 amos here, that's 18, plus 5 is 23. So you're standing on the ledge. When you're standing on the ledge of the sovev, you got 23 above you, and then how much below you? 58 minus 23? 35. Where's the middle line? 29. Perfect. So you're 6 above the middle line. You're at 35, you're 6 above the middle line. We said yesterday, if you throw the dam up to 1 amma, i.e. regular amma 6 tvachim down, you're still going to be yotek, it's going to be above the line. That's how the math works out. It's 58, divided by 2 is 29, the chod hasikra is at 29, you're standing on the sovev, you have 3 times 6 ammas above you, 18, 1 times 5 is 23, you got 23 above you, you got 25 below you. If you have 23 above you and 35 below you, 35 below you, 35 minus 6 is 29, 29 is right in the middle. That's how it works. So the top amma and the bottom amma were 5 tefach ammas, and the middle ones, everything else was a 6 tefach amma. And then in terms of the width, we don't have a problem either, because why did we have a problem yesterday in terms of the width? If we make the keren and the yesod and the sovev, we said each one is gaining 2 tvachim. So you could say the first 2 tvachim is negligible. The second 2 tvachim is negligible. But to have 6 full tvachim, that's 1 amma, to then say that the mizbeach was 32 and not 31, that's not acceptable. But now this way, 2 of the 3 are what? 2 of the 3 we're talking about 5 tefach ammas in height. Therefore, 2 of the 3 actually are 6 tefach ammas in width. One of them, the sovev, is only 5 tefach. So if you take away 1 tefach from the entire mizbeach, that's negligible. And you can still consider it to be 32 amos minus a tefach, and there's no problem with the calculations. That's how it basically comes out. Let's just see it inside. Says the Gemara, Mizbeach Kamahavi Chamishin V'Tmanya, 58. Palgei de Mizbeach Kamahavi Esrin V'Tisha, 29. Where are you standing? Mikarnos V'Yat Sovev Kamahavu, Esrin U'Tlasa. You're standing on the sovev, it's 23 up. Kama Batzir Lapalgei de Mizbeach, how much is left? If you're at 23, there's 6 more left until you hit 29. Going from top to bottom. Shisa utnani masal lamata meragla filu ama achas kshera. Dekanami, it makes sense that you're going to say that the yesod is talking about a 5 tefach amma in the height, and the sovev is talking about a 6 tefach amma in the height. Why is that dekanami? Because it says separately cheka amma, which is talking about the yesod, and a separate amma rochev, which is talking about the sovev. Those 2 ammas are different. Or else it would have said chek, it would have said like chek and rochav amma. It would have used the same amma. It says 2 different ammas because the sovev and the yesod, again, the heights of each are different ammas. 1 is 5 and 1 is 6. Says the Gemara, shma mina. Therefore, everything is glot. Fine. The kama amma beinonis. How much is an amma beinonis? So we've been saying the whole time, Rabbi Yochanan, shisha tvachim. Regular amma is going to be 6 tvachim. Says Gemara, Yossi bar Avin, af ananami tanina, Rabbi Meir Omer, hashulchan arko shnei masar, v'rach bo shisha. So what do we say? We know the shulchan is what? The shulchan is 1 by 2 amos. So that makes sense. 1 by 2 amos would be how many tvachim? 6 by 12 tvachim. Miklal, that's one thing. So we see that we're dealing with the amma beinonis is 6 tvachim, and like we said, you have a smaller one. Miklal dahavya amma denefisha mina. So if you tell me that the middle one, the 6 tefach, is the amma beinonis, what does that imply? There's one that's bigger than it, and one that's smaller than it. The one that's smaller than it we've been discussing for the last 2 days. That's the 5 tefach amma. What's the amma that's bigger than the 6 tefach amma? And yes, v'hatnan. V'hatnan could either be a question, or it could be binichusa, right? It could be a support, like the word nachas. It could be a support. Shtei amos hayu b'shushan habira. Not the shushan habira that we're talking about. There was a cheder, Rashi says, there was a room in the Shar HaMizrachi Shel Azara, in the eastern part of the Azara, and it was decorated. It sounds like the outside of this room was decorated with a picture of Shushan Habira. What would possibly be the purpose of having a picture? Well, who allowed the Jews to go back to who? Daryavesh, the king of Persia. So why would you have it there? Says the Gemara. Well, first of all, before we get there, we'll get to that in a minute. But let's just see what was in this room. So in that room were shtei amos, not the measurements, but actual poles with which you measure. How did they measure? They didn't have rulers. They had they had poles. Shtei amos hayu b'shushan habira. There were 2 poles. Achas lakeren mizrach. One in the northeast corner. Achas lakeren mizrach. It's one in the southeast corner. Shalkeren mizrach etzvonis yiseir al shel Moshe chatzi etzba. How many etzbas are in a tefach? How many etzbas are in a tefach? 4 etzbas in a tefach. How many tefachs was Moshe Rabbeinu's stick? 1 amma, 6 tefach. Said Moshe was the beinonis. He was a 6 tefach. The one we're talking about is 5. So 6 tefach is 24 etzbos. How big was the other one? Well, one of them was Yisera Moshe Chatzi Etzba. So one of the 2 sticks was 24 and a half etzba. Shal Karen, which is tiny. Shal Karen Mizrachish Drom is Haiti Yisera Lea Chatzi Etzba. It's a tiny amount more. And the other one was what? Was a half etzba more than the first stick. Nimtzet Yisera Al Shel Moshe Etzba. It was a full etzba bigger than Moshe. So again, Moshe's stick is 6 tvachim, which is it's 1 amma of 6 tvachim, which is 24 etzbos. Just using this finger, let's say 24 of these. The stick in the 2 sticks in this room were 24 and a half etzbos and 25 etzbos. And again, as we see every single day in DAF YOMI, it's just fascinating to just see reasons for all these things. So let's see the reasons. You had one that was 24 and a half, one that was 25, and Moshe's was 24. What do you possibly need all these sticks for? Says the Gemara. Well, we know we need Moshe's to measure amos. So what do we need the other ones for? Says the Gemara, so before we try to figure out why we need a 24 and a half and a 25, why do we need any of these versus Moshe's? It means why do we need Moshe's and then another one? So it says the Gemara, umnin nodlin biktanu machzirin bigdola kadesh lo yavo lidei meila. Fascinating. What's happening here? Somebody gets hired by the temple to do work for them. What happens when they get hired by the temple to do work? So I hire you to build, let's just say for argument's sake, I hire you to build a table, regular table, that's 5 amos high. And I pay you as the temple treasury for 5 amos of wood. Now, if we measure exactly with Moshe Rabbeinu's stick, that's fine. Let's say, though, that in the process of your wood cutting, you trim off a tiny bit. And now when you give it to us, it's not 5 amos of wood. It's 4 amos and 4.99999. But there's a tiny bit missing from the 5 amos. What are you doing in essence? You're over me'ilah. So what do? So we add to the measurement when we measure it. So when we originally measure, we say, okay, we want you to build me a table that's 5 amos, and we measure with Moshe Rabbeinu's thing, it needs to be up to here. When we come to measure when you're finished, we don't measure with Moshe Rabbeinu's amos. We mention it with 5 of these amos, 24 and a half etzbos, or we'll see 25 etzbos, and therefore you're going to have 5 extra etzbas. So when I come over here to measure it now, I'm going to make sure that the table's up to here. So that there's no question that if the table's not up to here, you got to add to it, because there's no question then that you went ahead and you were in Moel as the builder of the table.
It's like a baker's dozen.
It's basically like a baker's dozen. Without the baker and without the dozen. Yeah. Says the Gemara, Vitarti Lamali. So now I understand why you need Moshe's, and then you need another one which is a little bit bigger. But what do I need the 24 and a half and the 25? Just give me Moshe's of 24, and then either give me the 24 and a half or the 25. What do I need both for? Says the Gemara, Chada lekasbu dehava v'chada libinyana. Very interesting. He says, let's say I hired the guy for the table. It's one thing to say, okay, Moshe's is 24. I'm going to use the 25 etzbah stick. It was 5 amos, so it'll be 5 extra etzbahs, no problem. What's the big deal? Throw in 5 extra etzbahs of wood or of stone. But if the guy's making you something out of gold, all of a sudden, a half an etzbah is a lot. So we have no choice but to add to the extra half an etzbah to make sure that you add a little bit extra material to make sure that you're not moel. But at the end of the day, the Torah and the Gemara was so medactic that when we're dealing with gold, we're going to measure with one that's tiny bit bigger than Moshe Rabbeinu's. We're just going to require you to add a tiny bit more than we agreed upon to make sure that you definitely were in moel. But by something that's not zahav, that's not kesef, that's not so expensive, we're going to be extra strict, extra careful, and we're going to go in and we're going to measure with an even bigger one, slightly bigger, to double check and triple check that you were in moel. So we're not going to be, so the Torah was chas am amon and shal Yisrael, so we have like this quandary here. We don't want you to be over me'ilah, but we don't want you to have to spend too much of your extra money in zahav and kesef as the maker. So we're very, very careful. When it comes to zahav and kesef, we're going to measure a tiny bit more just to make sure you're not moel. And when it comes to the stone, etc., and the wood, we're going to use an even bigger measurement just to double check and triple check to make sure that you were moel. Because if you use a little bit extra wood, a little bit extra stone, it's not such a big deal for you. You'd rather do that. But you don't want to use a little bit extra gold. That much you don't want to use. You don't want to be over me'ilah, but you want to use as little over the amount that you need to as possible.
The over meal is...
Me'ilah means that you're using temple, property. Me'ilah.
No, I think you're
Oh, I was just making up a word. It's really me'ilah, making up a word moel.
Anglicizing it. He says Spitz is...
I was talking about cutting the, okay. Moel, not mohel. Okay. Says the Gemara, doctor, you can't be so medactic every word I say. Says the Gemara, Tanan Hassam, he's going to have his whole list. He's going to show his list to somebody one day of all the words he learned in Rabbi Spitz's class, and half of them people are going to be like, what is that? That's not a real word. That's not a Gemara word. It's like, oh, mohel, what's the difference? Yeah.
Yiddish sprach.
Come, they said I shouldn't do the me'ilah on you. I shouldn't do the me'ilah on you. Okay. Says it, just don't mix up the me'ilah and the me'ilah. Says the Gemara. Oi, Tanan Hassam, I would never be moel. Okay. Tanan Hassam. Shara Mizrach Olav Shushan Abira Tzura. So again, this had the picture of Shushan Abira, my timer. It wanted to be a recognition of that they came from Galus. What would you be recognizing if you came from Galus? So you'd appreciate seemingly HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You'd appreciate HaKadosh Baruch Hu for taking you out of the Galus of Shushan Abira. Different interpretations, but that's the one I liked. Says the Gemara, and the other opinion is that what? That he specifically, Daryavish wanted it up there, so that they would continue to have the Amos, the fear of Malchus on them every time they looked at it. You should always have the fear of heaven. Even by Moshe Rabbeinu. What did we see? That when he told Paro that all the servants of Paro are going to come begging for the Jews to leave Egypt, he didn't say you are going to come begging as well. He said all your servants are going to come begging. Because even then he had respect for Moshe. By Eliyahu and Achav. Achav was a Rasha, but Eliyahu nevertheless led the chariot because Achav shouldn't be by himself, even though he was a Rasha. How do you pronounce that? Vayishanas or Vishanam, I can't. Vayishanes. Masna vayartz lifnei Achav ad bo'acha Yisraela. Again, he ran in front of him to make sure that he wasn't by himself. Ve'alehu letrufa. Now this is going on the...
It's on the second base.
This is going... Ve'alehu letrufa is going on the third base Hamikdash, I believe.
No, but the second one had the picture of Persian.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying now, going for a Vayter, this is something new. Ve'alehu letrufa, in Yecheskel's Nevuah about the third base Hamikdash, I believe, there will be a river coming from the Kadshe Kadashim, and on the banks of that river will be trees, and the leaves of those trees will heal people. What kind of healing will it do? Valehu litrufa, the leaves will be healing. Rav Chisda Rav Yitzchak Bar Avdimi, Chadamar lahatir pesha lamala, over here. It'll go ahead and it'll be matir, it'll heal the mute, the peh up here, that they'll be able to speak. V'chadamar lahatir pesha lamata, it'll mute the woman's reproductive organs. It'll unmute them, i.e. she'll be able to have a baby if she was barren. Idmar Chizki Amar lahatir peh ilmim, again, that's the same thing, to open up the mouths of the mute. Bar Kafra Amar lahatir peh akaros, those who can't have babies, those who are barren. Tana Rabbanan. At this point, I just need to give a little bit of an introduction. There are two psukim that talk about the lechem apanim. One pasuk, there's many psukim, but two psukim that we're dealing with now. One pasuk says the following: V'lakach des soles, you take fine flour, va'afisa osa shtemes rechalos, you go ahead and you bake 12 loaves. Shnei asronim yiyeh hachala achas. So you go ahead and you take shnei asronim for the chalas. Then v'samto otam shtayim marachos. You take these 12 chalas and you put them into 2 stacks. Sheish hamareches, 6 per stack. Ala shochan atahor lifnei Hashem. Pretty straightforward. 12 breads, 12 breads, 2 stacks, 6 per stack. The Gemara is going to say, why do you have to go through every single thing? Says the Gemara. Let's say it would have just said 2 stacks. It didn't say 6 per stack. What would you think? I can do whatever I want. I can make 4 and 8. I can make 6 and 6. I can make 4 and 8 the other way. I can make 10 and 2, whatever I want. Do the math. Says the Gemara, it's got to be 6 per stack. If it wouldn't have said 12 and would have just said 2 stacks, 6 in a stack, what would you have thought? You might have thought that the 6 was going on both. You might have thought what? Now, I wouldn't have said this, but the Gemara says you might have said that. If it would have said 2 stacks, 6 stack, you would have thought that there are 2 stacks of 6 and 1 stack of 6. 3 stacks of 6, you'd have 18 breads. Therefore, let's tell you it's only 12. If it would have just said 12 chalas and they need to be stacked, v'lo nemar, and it doesn't say shtayim, 2 stacks, v'sheish, and 6 stacks. 2 stacks and 6 per stack. Shlosha shel arba arba. What would I have thought? It says ma'arachos and it says ma'areches. So what would it have said? It would have said v'chados v'vidata shtei mesrei chalos shnei esrim yiyeh b'chalachas v'samto otam ma'arachos ha'ma'areches ala shochan. What's ma'arachos? 2 stacks. What's ma'areches? 1 stack. You would have thought that you have 3 stacks total, 3 stacks of 4, right? You would have thought 3 stacks of 4. It would have been 12, but 3 stacks of 4. Therefore, what? Therefore, it says the 12 and the 2 and the 6. So again, you need all the thing. You need to tell me 12 breads. You need to tell me that there were 2 stacks, and each stack had 6 to make it very clear. Okay, so what would they do? No saying shtayim arachot shel sheish v'sheish. If you make 4 and 8, you're not yotze. Says Gemara, shtayim shel sheva sheva. What happens if you make 2 stacks of 7? What does that mean in English?
14.
Exactly what it says. Rabbi Omer rodes al yona ki iluena. You look at the top 2, number 13 and 14, like they're not there. Now it's very clear. It's very clear from the Meforshim that what? That number 13 and 14, which is again number 7 and number 7 on each stack, it's clear that those are using other flour. It's obvious that they cannot be using part of the Shnei Asronim. If they use a Shnei Asronim, then Rebbe says for sure it's no good. But if you make the 12 out of the Shnei Asronim, out of the flour that you need, and then you take other flour and you bake 2 additional loaves and you put them on top, 7 and 7. Not lechavchila, but we're not going to ruin the entire thing. You met the requirements and you used all of the flour that you needed in those 12.
Why is it not baltosif?
So again, the Gemara is saying, Ki'iluena, we look at it like it's not there. V'haba'ina and v'natata. The Gemara is not bothered by the fact that it's baltosif. The Gemara says not baltosif, we just look at it like it's not there. The problem is, right, so again, the Gemara is saying that it says 12 in the pasuk, but you're bringing 14, and they're all holy. So the Gemara says, but you have another problem. What's the problem?
Keep the dust off.
Keep the dust off. So what's the other problem? Where you have to put the frankincense? Where do you put the lavona? So v'ba'ina v'natata al. At this point, the Gemara is assuming, not like we originally said. We originally thought maybe you put the lavona on top of the 2 bottom breads. The Gemara is now assuming that you put the lavona on top of the top breads. So now the problem is, if you have 6 and 6, you put them on top of number 11 and number 12. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So number 6 and number 12, it's not a problem. But now if you're putting them on top of number 13 and number 14, or number 7 and number 14, however you want to do the math, right? The top 2, what do you got? You got a chatzitza now between the lavona, the 2 spoons. You're putting one on top of this stack, one on top of this stack, but the top of them are not supposed to be there. Like we said, when it says al, put on top of the breads, it means besamach, next to the breads. Ditani Rebbe Mervanatata la Mereches Lavona Zacha, al is besamach. Ata Omer al besamach ein ola al mamish. Kishu Omer, it's interesting. Again, we brought a different example. Remember the other day we brought the example of Ephraim encamping, right? When he encamped, he didn't do al on Menashe, he said next to Menashe. He gives another example. If it's akosa al aron es paroches, you put the paroches on the aron. You don't put it on the aron. You put it next to the aron, in front of the aron, between the Kodesh Kodashim and the Kodesh. Have Omer al besamach. Therefore, al comes out besamach.
In this week's parsha, we have that too.
That what?
With it said on the well.
And it was next to the well.
Next to the well.
So what's interesting though is I want to just point out that it comes out in the Maskana. It's not clear. The Rishonim argue Well, it depends. If you remember the other day we had a machlokas, how big the table was, 10 or 12. If it was 10, then there was no space between the two stacks. If it was 12, then there was a 2, right? Then there was a 2 tavach space between the two. Between the two. So if you say that there was a 2 tavach space, or either way, you could say that if there was a 2 tavach space, then you could put the spoons in the 2 tavach space. But even if you learn that there was no 2 tavach space, the al being samach still works. Because if you needed an al, then it's a chatzitza. But if you just need al being samach, then even if you put it on top of bread number 7 over here, on top of bread number 7 over here, it's no longer a chatzitza because it only is a chatzitza if you need dafka al. But if you just need samach, so it's samach when it's down here, the two of them on the table, and it's also samach when it's up here. It's samach to these top 2 breads. There happens to be another bread between it, but it doesn't have to be all of those breads. It needs to be samach. So again, no matter how you learn this Gemara, you could still learn and fit it into that other opinion, whether you put the 2 spoons on the table or you put the 2 spoons on top of the breads. Either way you learn, Lamaisa, you can fit it into this Gemara. Says the Gemara, Kol HaKelim Shebemikdash, etc. What? I know they're not going to find me. They have to come to this year, but I have to get up. Really, we should have somebody that's sitting here every day and follows me as it moves. Right, we should have a camera that moves. Yeah.
You told me not to.
No, I don't want you moving it. I didn't say you. You need somebody else. You need to hire somebody. Kol HaKelim Shebemikdash. Tani Rabbanan Kol HaKelim Shebemikdash Arkon LaArko Shalbayis Chutz Me'aron Sha'arko LaRachvo Shalbayis. So again, what did we say the other day? This is the Kodesh Kadashim, that beautiful picture. This is the entrance. This is north. This is south, west, east. So we said that what? If this is the Kodesh, let's just say I'm at the line here. This is Kodesh Kadashim. So everything, all of the idea, we said everything is what? Everything is east-west. The menorah is facing this way. I'm looking at the menorah now. I'm looking at the shulchan, right? The length of the shulchan is this way, except for the aron, which is north-south. That's what we said, right? The aron is going with its long way this way, and this is going the menorah with its long way this way, and the shulchan is going with its long way this way. So that's how it's set up. The long ways are going east-west, except for the aron, where the long way is going north-south. Says the Gemara, which was north-south, kachaya munach, v'kachaya badav munach. Now the problem is that we have a little bit of problem with the poles. How did you understand this before you walked into the shir today? Where were the poles on the aron? Where are the poles? If this is the aron, yes, on the side. But was it on the? This is the aron. This is the long part of the aron. This is the short part of the aron. So where was it? On the width. Right. Here are the poles.
It can't be on the length.
Why?
It would be blocking the breads.
We're blocking
No,
what?
no.
No, we're not talking about the shulchan. We're talking about the aron.
No, the aron.
The aron had poles. So now we're dealing with the aron. So the aron has poles. So where are the poles of the aron? Are the poles of the aron here, on the width?
On the short side. They're on that side.
Or are they here, on the long side?
No, I think they're on the short side.
Make up your mind. Long side, short side. Which one?
Short
Okay.
side. Short side.
So let's see. Says the Gemara, it's going to be like this. Not like Mendel. It's going to be on the short side.
That's the long and short of it.
That's
Says the Gemara.
an argument with you.
So v'kachaya badav munachin. This is how the badav were munachin. Says the Gemara, Maika Amar Hachi Kamar. What's going on? So the thing again, it implies that the poles of the ark were north-south as well. Again, v'kachaya badav munachin. When you say that the aron was north-south, and there, so then it seems to be saying like Mendel is saying that they were like this. Yeah, it seems to be saying, like Mendel was saying. Says the Gemara, Minalan, Ditanya. Where do you see this? Ubada mina. So it says, Maika Amar, Hachi Kamar. No, Kachaya Munach. It was north-south. Midibadav Kachaya Munachin. The reason that it was north-south is because since the poles which are on the width of the arrow need to be going east-west, therefore, by definition, this was north-south. That's how it looked. Okay, so you got like this, and you got the 2 poles on the north. So you have the north, okay, this is not mine from the first year. People also make comments. This is the north pole, and this is the south pole. So you got the north pole and the south pole, and then you got, that's how you remember it. You got the north, no, that's how you remember. You have the north pole and the south pole, and then you got east-west is where the aron is facing. But again, it's facing north-south if you're talking about from the length, because everything else, the menorah, the length is east-west. The shulchan is east-west. Says the Gemara, what do you got over here? Ubadav minalan. How do you know the badav have to be here? How do you know the badav have to be on the east and the west? How do you know they have to be on the north and the south? Says the Gemara, Ditanya, Vayarichu habadim yachlo yu nogin beparocha. It's interesting. It says that the badim actually extended. Now what's really fascinating is that there was a paroches here.
Right.
And the badim extended and hit the paroches.
Right.
So the Gemara is going to ask now, did it go through the paroches, like make a hole in the paroches, or did it extend? I'm just going to give it away. The Gemara is going to say that it actually protruded into the paroches, and when you were looking at it from this side, it looked like the dudaim, like the breasts of a woman, 1 and 2. which again is fascinating on many levels. Something that has become so inappropriate today was used in the highest level of Kedusha back then. And again, which is really the purpose of it, to be able to feed a baby, which is the highest level of Kedusha as well. But it's interesting, it actually went, and it would protrude into the parochas, and when you looked at it from this side, that's what it looked like. Fascinating. Says the Gemara, Detani varichu abadim yachalo yunogin beparoches. You might have thought that they don't touch the paroches. Tamalober vayiru. They were seen. Ivayiru yachalu mekarin beparoches viyotzin. You might think that it actually went through the paroches and tore the paroches. Tamalomer lo yira hachutza. It can't be seen from the other side. So what do you do? Ha-ketzad, says the Gemara, dochin uboltin beparoches. It would literally push against the paroches. V'domen kamin shnai dade isha shnemar tzur hamor dodi li ben shtei ben shadai yalin. There you go. So now you got the two poles, which are on the north and the south, and they're pushing up against the paroches, and that's what it looks like when you're on the other side. So we got our whole nice little temple over here. Says the Gemara. And maybe Mendel's right. Why are you assuming the whole time that it's at the width? Why is it over here? Well, how big was the width? How big is this? How big is this? 1.5 amas. Which again is how many tvachim? Well, it depends. 6, 5.5, 5, however you want to do it. But this is 1.5 amma, and this is 2.5 amma. Let me ask you a question. How did they carry the Aron? How did they carry the Aron? They carried it what? They carried it, either carried itself, but they carried the bud, and they had 4 people carrying it. Well, if the poles are here, then you can have a guy standing here, a guy standing here, a guy standing here, a guy standing here. They're on the inside of the Aron, seemingly carrying it on their shoulders, and there's enough room for everybody to walk. If the poles are like Mendel said, over here, then even if, again, this is when it's sitting stationary, but when you're carrying it, you only have 1 amma, 1.5 amma, for 4 guys to stand. So you have 2 guys standing shoulder to shoulder, 1.5 amma is not going to be enough room. If you put it this way, and you put them over here, now you have an extra amma for 2 guys to be able to stand in the front, and 2 guys to be able to stand in the back, and to be able to walk with it. That's what the Gemara says. Says the Gemara, Amar Yehuda Trei Gavre, Ba'amsa, Upalga, Lo, Mistani, Lahu. They can't fit if you put them, again, if you put them over here on the length, then you only have 1.5 for them to fit, and carrying it on the north and south part. Says the Gemara, Uminalan de Ba'arba Havudarilu. Why do you need 2? Maybe if only 1 carried in the front, 1 carried in the back, 1.5 amma is more than enough for a guy. Because it says V'nasu hakatim, it could have just said V'nasu nosei hamikdash, or V'nasu hakahatim. What if it say V'nasu hakahatim nosei hamikdash? Nasu hakahatim is 2, nosei hamikdash nami trei is 4. Therefore, if you needed 4 people to be able to fit in between the poles, the only way to do it is if the poles were in the north and the south.
Couldn't stand farther apart,
no.
be next to each other?
They needed to stand inside it.
Why couldn't you stand outside?
It was on their shoulder.
You stand outside on the shoulder.
No, you couldn't, because it was on the inside. The pole was like this. You couldn't stand on the I don't know. You couldn't stand on the outside. It's easier to walk, right? When you're carrying something on your shoulder, it's easier if you're on the inside of the object than if you're standing on the. You don't have as much leverage. If you're on the outside of the object, carrying it like this, it's much easier to carry it on the inside of the object. If you're on the inside and on the other side he's on the inside, and you're walking together, so it's a lot easier to carry it. If you're on the outside, you're losing. I'm talking to the guy.
Chiropractor.
What? No, which is easier?
I would think it's only easier because the 2 people are make sure they stand in line together.
And they're also closer to each. No, but they're also closer to each other. There's more. If you're holding it on the outside, it's harder to hold on the outside than on the inside. No, or let's say you're holding it on your hands. You're closer together. It's easier. Then if you're out farther apart, then there's more to carry.
Yeah, if you were holding it like that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Says the Gemara. What do you got there? Yeah, no, I see it. But again, it's easier to hold it from the inside, 100%. If you don't agree, then Tana Rabbanan. Asara shulchanos asa shlomo. This is interesting. You always talk about the shulchan.
The bottom on that is very low.
It is pretty low. Asara, it's also not the right way, though. Those pictures are not the right way, right? Those pictures have the. 1 second. Those pictures have the badim on the.
That's wrong.
Those pictures that I saw have the badim on the. No, seriously. Those pictures, a lot of the pictures online have the badim on the short side, right? Isn't that on the short side?
Yes, it is.
It's on the short side of the Aron. Many of the pictures that I looked online last night were on the short side. The real way that we're saying now is that it was on the long side, right? The pole, the length. No, but it's not. Again, the way we're saying it today is that the poles are on the long side. That means that in between the poles is the length, not the width. That's how they fit in between the poles.
If you guys in the other way, there's lots of room.
That's what I'm saying. So it's supposed to be the other way. It's supposed to be the length, not the width. The poles are on the north and the south. This is the length. This is the width. The poles are on the width, not on the length. Most of the pictures that you saw are most pictures that you look online look like this, where they're on the width and not on the length.
Mendel's input.
Mendel, most of the pictures online are your pictures, Mendel. Says the Gemara. Yeah, you're reading the Christian websites, not the Jewish websites. Tana Rabbanan. Asara Shulchanos. Asa Shlomo HaMelech. Shenemar Vayas. DAF YOMI has really become fun. Asara Shulchanos Asa Shlomo HaMelech Shenemar Vayas Shulchanos Asara. This is very interesting. So we always thought we talk about one shulchan. We know that Shlomo actually made 10 shulchans. So Asara Shulchanos Asa Shlomo HaMelech. Shenemar, so there were really 11 because there was one of Moshe Rabbeinu as well. Shenemar Vayas Shulchanos Asar Vayanach Behechal Chamisha Miyamin V'Chamisha Mismol. Now, this is the picture from yesterday. If you remember yesterday, we had this picture with the Heichal. So if you look over here, you have the Heichal. You walk into the Heichal, and now the middle of the Mikdash is right through the middle of the Heichal. So if you walk through the Pesach of the Heichal, if you turn right, you're in the north part of the Mikdash. If you turn left, you're in the south part of the Mikdash. So what happened over here? So where are we saying? He made 10 different shulchanos. What did he do? Vayanach behechal, chamisha miyamin v'chamisha mismol. That sounds like 5 in the north part of the Mikdash, and 5 on the left part of the Mikdash. 5 when you walk into the Heichal to the right, and 5 when you walk into the Heichal to the left. Says Gemara, it can't be. V'im tamar chamisha miyamin ha-pesach v'chamisha mismol ha-pesach im kein matzinu. You have 5 of the shulchan sheshulchan bedarom. 5 of them are in the southern part of the Mikdash, because again, the entrance to the Heichal is directly smack in the middle of the Mikdash. V'atorah amra v'ashulchan titen atzel atzafon. We know the shulchan needs to be in the northern part of the Mikdash. So how did you do that? Says the Gemara, Ela shel Moshe be'emsa chamisha bimino v'chamisha mismolo. Very interesting. So again, just using our room as a perfect example, because as we'll see in a second, this is the Heichal and the Kodesh Kodashim. It's 40. The Heichal itself. Let's assume that the Kodesh Kodashim is on the other side of the wall. The Heichal is 40 by 20. 20 amos by 40 amos. Just as an approximation, 40 feet by 80 feet. So it's 40 by 20, and on the other side of the wall, behind that door, is the Kodesh Kodashim, which is another 20 amos. So it's 40 amos and 20 amos. It's 60 amos total, but the width is 20 amos this way. So the entire thing, the Heichal and the Kodesh Kodashim would be 60 by 20. Fine. So what happens now? You walk into the Heichal over here, and we're saying that you need to put the 5 menorahs over here. You have to put the 10 shulchans. We'll get to menorah. You have to put the 10 shulchans on this part of the room, the northern part of the room. No, we really can't see me. On the northern part of the room. So, because if you would put 5 over here and 5 over here, so what does it mean, right and left? It means that there was an 11th table, the table of Moshe Rabbeinu. Now we'll see in a few, if you turn a few pages, we'll see after exactly where that went. But basically, there were 11 tables. Seemingly, Moshe Rabbeinu's table was right here. Let's just say, I don't know if it was this way or that way, we'll see. You had 5 tables towards the west of it, and 5 tables towards the east of it. You might have a picture in the Gemara.
How does this answer the question?
Because the shulchan is in.
What's the problem?
Oh, Moshe's shulchan was in the right place?
No. What do you mean? They were all in the right place.
place.
We said you have 11 shulchans.
You covered all the
right?
bases.
We said that Shlomo made 10 shulchans. 5 of them were on the right and 5 of them were on the left. It can't mean 5 of them were on the right of the entrance of the Heichal over here, and 5 of them were on the left of the Heichal over here because of the entrance. Because we said all the shulchans in the pasuk say they need to be to the right of the entrance.
The problem with the
They need to be in the tzafon, in the north. Therefore, what does it mean that it was on the right and the left? Says the Gemara, it means it was on the right and the left of Moshe Rabbeinu's table. That means within the tzafon, Moshe Rabbeinu's table was somewhere here.
Not from the door.
11 of them were on the left, 5 of them on the left of Moshe Rabbeinu's, not of the door. 5 of them were on the right of Moshe Rabbeinu's table, but everything was in the northern parts of the Heichal.
How can you use a verse that talks about a halacha of only one table
For 11.
for 11 tables?
I don't know.
Dip it in.
Says the Gemara,
Ask Shlomo Mel.
Chamisha mimino v'chamisha mismolo. Right. Tana Rabbanan. Now we're going to deal. So that's the northern part. So now that whole side of the room is filled with tables. Not the entire thing. We're going to see in a second actually that all 11 of them were not only in the northern part, they were on the western part as well. They were in the northwest quadrant. There's basically 4 quadrants. There's the northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. So they were in the north, and then this room is cut up into 2, right? This is 40 amos long. 20 of the amos are in the east, and 20 of the amos are in the west. So it was in that 20 amos, that 20 by 10 amos. It was in the northern part, the 10 amos up there, and the 20 amos across. That's where they all were. Says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan. What?
It's a machlokas, which way it faces, north, south, or east, west?
We're going to get to that. One second. Hold your horses. Tana Rabbanan. Eser menoros asa shlomo shnema vayatzes hamenoros azahav eser kimishpat vayitem hecha chamisha min v'chamisha mismol. Again. V'im tomar chamisha mimin hapesach v'chamisha mismol hapesach im kein matzinu menorah b'tzafon v'atorah maves hamenorah nochach hashulchan. It needs to be in the south. Now we have the other problem the opposite way. If you put 5 menorahs over there when you walk into Pesach and 5 menorahs over here, now you got 5 menorahs in the north that are supposed to be in the south. Says Gemara, Elishal Moshe be'em. So there were actually 11 menorahs, which is also fascinating. Chamisha mimina v'chamisha mismolo. So now you basically got. Again, it's not clear by the menorahs whether the menorahs also had to be in that half. Well, let's assume that they were in that half. So this half, again, 20 amos by 20 amos, this half is empty. This half, the northwest part is filled with 11 shulchans, and the southwest part is filled with 11 menorahs. 5 and 5 on each side, whether it's, again, 5 here and then Moshe's and then 5 here, all within these 20 amos, or all within this 10 amos, or 5 there and 5 there, etc. So exactly what it was. That's the question. But either way, you had 11 menorahs here and 11 shulchans in that quadrant, and 2 of the quadrants were empty. Says the Gemara, Tani Chada, Mechatzi Bayis v'lifnim hayu muhnachin. Now we have another problem, because now we say that the shulchanos, which again we just said are in that quadrant, shulchanos are in the northwest quadrant. Mechatzi bayis v'fnim hayu menachin. They were within the first half of the heichal. V'tani chada mishlisha bayis v'fnim hayu menachin. But they were in the first third of the heichal. V'lo kashya mar kachash bayis kachay kadashim bahadi heichal mar lo kachash bayis kachay kadashim bahadi heichal. What does that mean in English? So again, what did we say? We have 40 is this room, and then 20 is the next room. Where were they located? They were located in the second quadrant. Right. They were located after the 20. So again, you have 20 up to the rabbi's door, 20 up to that wall, and then the Kodesh Kadashim. So if you say that they were located after the first half, what are you in essence saying? They were located after the first half of just taking the measurements of the Heichal, not the Kodesh Kadashim into account. These 40 amos of this room, it was located after the first half. If you say it was located after the first third, he's not arguing. He agrees that it's in the same quadrant, but he's including the 20 amos of the Kachay Kadashim. So if you have 60 total, then it's after the first third, which is after the first 20. If you have 40 total, it's after the first half, which is after the first 20. So they both agree that they were right there in that quadrant. It's just a question, when they're talking, are they including the Kodesh Kadashim in their calculation or not? Either way, they agree that it's after the first 20 amos of the Heichal's room, which is either the first half of the Heichal or the first third of the Heichal and the Kachay Kadashim. Let's just finish up. Says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan, Mizrach umarav hayu munachin divrei Rebbe. Like we said, Rebbe says that again we're dealing with the northwest quadrant over here. That all of the all of the shulchans were east-west. So again, if these are the shulchans, you have 11 of them. They're all east-west, right? The length is this way, the width is that way. They're all east-west. And also what? Rabbi Eliezer Bar Shimon Omer, no, he argues. Safon v'darm, he argues on our Mishnah, because we said all the Kalim were east-west except for the Aron. He argues and says that all the shulchans were like this. They were north-south. We hold it was east-west, so let's just keep it east-west like this. It was east-west, which is what we said, that when you would look at the menorah, you would see the 7 candles like this, east-west. Says the Gemara, my time at the Rebbe, what's the reason of Rebbe that he says that it was east-west? Because what? Gomar mi menorah. We have to learn from the menorah, which was on the southwest quadrant, and that was also east-west. Ma menorah mizrach umarv, avhani nami mizrach umarv. So both of them are east-west, the shulchans and the menorah. Says the Gemara, menorah gufa minalan. How do you know the menorah was east-west? Midichsiv ben ner maravi. It says that the westernmost ner, yaroch oso aron lifnei Hashem. Miklal de kulu lav lifnei Hashem. V'isach adaitach safon v'darim kulu nami lifnei Hashem ninu. Very interesting. What does he say? Look at the menorah. Here's a menorah. Here's 7 candles. What happens if it's facing like this? It's perfect. And the westernmost candle is lifnei Hashem. That's the one that's near the Kodesh Kadashim. The other 6 are not Kodesh Kadashim. If you turn the menorah this way, and now you have 7 candles this way, then all 7 of them are lifnei Hashem. They're all facing the Kodesh Kadashim. So it must be that only the westernmost one, we're going to talk about the wicks in a second, but right now at this point we're assuming all the wicks are straight up. The western one, if you go east-west like this, then the westernmost one is like this, and at the end of the day the other 6 are not lifnei Hashem. That's what he says. So therefore the menorah needs to be east-west, and therefore the shulchan needs to be east-west as well.
Why?
Because it needs to be lifnei Hashem. He's learning the pasuk.
No, I'm saying why do we? I understand about the menorah, but I'm saying why the shulchan have to follow the same?
Because they're both in the same room. He's assuming they're both in the same room. They both need to have the same. Well, he learned that every kli in general needs to go east-west, but he seems to be learning from the menorah. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar bar Shimon by Taima. He says you don't learn from the menorah. Where do you learn from? Gamar mi Aron. You learn from the Aron. The Aron is what? The Aron is north-south, as we said. The Aron goes north-south. Again, assuming this is the Aron, this is the length. It goes north-south. Just like the Aron goes north-south. What else needs to go north-south? The Shulchan needs to go north-south as well. Says the Gemara. Ma'aron Safon Daron Afhani Nami Safon Darva Rebbe Nami Ligmar Me'aron. Why doesn't he learn from the Aron? Why does he learn from the Shulchan? He's going to learn from something, it sounds like. Why does he learn the Shulchan from the Menorah, not from the Aron? Well, you're better off done in Chutz Mechutz Vein done in Chutz Mefnim. If I can do something that's also in the Heichal, as opposed to something that's in the Kodesh Kadashim, I'm going to learn from something else in the Heichal. For Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon Ligmar Mi Menorah. Why does it Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon? Again, that makes a lot of sense. Why is he learning from the Aron and not from the Menorah? Amar Lecha Menorah Gufat Safon Daron Hava Mincha. You find, you want to learn from the menorah, no problem. Look, I hold that the menorah was like this also. You want to learn from the Aron? Like I do, fine. You want to learn from the menorah? Chutz, chutz, no problem. The menorah is also north-south. What's our only problem now? They're all lifnei Hashem. Says the Gemara, Ela hachsiv yaroch Aron avanav dimitzadei lehu atzdudi. This is what you were looking at before. If you look at that picture in the regular Gemara with Rashi, you see the wicks. What happened was, these 7 wicks, the 3 on the left were all facing the middle. They weren't straight up. If they were all straight up or facing that way, then it's lifnei Hashem. But now they're all facing the middle, and the 3 on top in the north are also facing the middle. Which is the only one that's facing Lifnei Hashem? The middle one. So it's not the Ma'aravis one, which is closest. It's the one that's in the middle. Its wick is facing Lifnei Hashem. That's the one that's Lifnei Hashem, but it works if it's north-south. Therefore, according to Rabbi Elazar, this is also north-south. Everything is north-south. According to the other opinion, this is east-west because this is east-west, and Lifnei Hashem is only the leftmost Ma'aravis one. Let's just finish up the daf. Says the Gemara, D'Tanya Mopanam Nora Yushvas Aniros, Milamet Shehu Mitstadim Panem Klape Nerem Sai. Again, according to him. Now you could still learn that it was east-west, right? The other opinion is going to say, fine, it was east-west, and they still all went ahead and faced, but there was still only one that was there, Lifnei Hashem Tamid. Says the Gemara, Amar of Nasan, Mikan Shem Sai Mishubach, the middle one is always Mishubach. Finally, Bishlama, we're just going to start this and then we'll finish it tomorrow. Bishlama Laman de Amar Mizrach Umarav, the one who sets it up like this, that the menorah and the shulchan were Mizrach Marav, and the Aron was Safon Darom, Hainu Dehavu Yisive Asara Be'esrim. So what's the problem here? The problem is that we just said that this room is what? We said that this quadrant over here is 20 by 10. And this quadrant is 20 up to this door. Again, it's 40 total, 20 by 10. If you go ahead and you start setting up the menorahs, north-south, like the other opinion, what's going to happen? How big are the menorahs? 2 amos each. Take 10 of them, what's going to happen? First of all, you don't have room for 11. Second of all, you're going to have 10 menorahs that are basically going to be going from this wall across like this, north-south. Now, there's going to be a couple problems. First of all, there's not even going to be enough room because you can't leave any space between. You have no leeway. Second of all, the Kohen who needs to go into the Kodesh Kadashim has nowhere to pass. Third of all, what happened to Moshe's menorah? If you go east-west like this, and you line them up like this, so you're right. From there, from that door, from the paroches to the middle of the room is 20. But if you go a shtickle bit over, what's the big deal? So now you have 11. You're really going to go 22. One of the menorahs, it sounds, again, the Gemara is not bothered by this, but part of one of the menorahs, or maybe one whole menorah, is going to be a little bit towards the northern part, or at least half south, half north. But you have a little bit more flexibility when you're going this way than when you're going this way, wall to wall. Here you're going wall to air. Because again, you have a whole other 20 amos of the room. Here you're going wall to wall, it's going to be a problem. That's what the Gemara says. Ulamandi amar mizrach marav, bishlam ulamandi amar mizrach marav, hainu dahavu yasve asire be'asrim. You could fit 10 tables, or we're not dealing with them, no, we're dealing with the tables. You can fit 10 tables in the 20 amos over here, and even an 11 table. Says the Gemara, ulamandi amar tzafon v'darom, yod b'chav heichei hava yasve. How did you fit 10 tables in 20? How did the Kohanim fit through the shulchanos or the menorahs? Second of all, what's the other problem? If you're going north-south, 5 of the shulchans are in the southern side of the temple, southern side of the thing. They say back to him, even if you hold that it was Mizrach Marav, what? Nami shulchan demoshe hechi hava manachle. According to you, well, you still have a problem. Because again, if you're saying that all the tables need to be in the 20 amos over here, so very nice, if you squeeze them 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, you'll get to the middle of the room. You still don't have another 2 amas for Moshe's table, because then it'll be in the what? It'll be in the eastern part of the thing. And therefore what? Elamisvar escha darahave tre darihave. And you have over here on 98b5, you see that there are different rows. So it ends up being that you have 11 tables. According to Rebbe, you have the 11 tables in the northwest quadrant. Set up, if you look over here, 5 and then Moshe's and then 5 to the right and 5 to the left. According to Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon, you also have them in the northwest quadrant, but they're not going east-west, they're going north-south. Again, if you want to see the picture is right here. Have a wonderful Shabbos.